where did it really, where was the start of your true journey to make you, or to help you be the woman you are now with all the other women you help across the globe? Where did it all start?
Well, when I think back, I've had so many challenges in my life, but I would actually say probably when I had a nervous breakdown about just under 20 years ago was really where the kind of whole change of my life began. I ended up with a nervous breakdown, and it was associated with depression and anxiety. So I used to get panic attacks. I wasn't able to leave the house. I was scared to go into shops. And my nerves basically were just kind of like frazzled. They just couldn't cope. And so for me, if I actually really think about the real change to become the person that I am today, I honestly do think that it stemmed from that one incident. Because as you can imagine, it was a very challenging time. I had a young child at the time. I had to leave London to go and live with my mum because I just couldn't cope in London. So yeah, it was very traumatic, very traumatic.
What was it that, because I know looking at your past CV, your career, where you have had a successful time in the finance sector, you know, you've come from a good grounded single parent upbringing. What was triggering you to, first of all, to where to got you to that point where you were having that nervous breakdown? What do you think triggered that? Because some people don't see that coming. Some people don't see that actually, I never thought in a million years I've been in this certain area of my career, and now where I am, I've got a young child. What happened?
Yeah, great question. When I actually look back at it now, I was actually in an abusive relationship. Now, I never really thought it was kind of like the typical abuse and domestic violence, because there was no real physical violence. But we oftentimes forget that there is also verbal abuse, you know, and sometimes people try and take control of you in other ways. And so the actual onset of my breakdown and my symptoms manifested whilst I was in that relationship, because I was involved with somebody who was dealing with drugs. The police came one day and kicked the door down. So you can imagine, yeah, not a fantastic situation to be in. And it was such a difficult situation to get out of. Obviously, I knew I shouldn't have been there. The drugs were nothing to do with me. I'll just put that out there. Absolutely nothing to do with me.
Just get that out there. She's not a addict.
Yeah, never taken drugs in my life. But I knew that I didn't want to be in that relationship. I just couldn't get myself out. So the physical symptoms manifested from that relationship. However, I always think things stem back to your childhood. I always think there's something going on from your childhood that you haven't dealt with, and it's just a build-up that happens in your body of certain emotions, and then something triggers it, and you know, and for me, it was the nervous breakdown. It triggered it. Yeah. Because just very, very quickly, my father was abusive to my mother, and we were put into a children's home when I was 5. And and we've had a whole lot of drama around that. So if I'm honest with you, Rebecca, I honestly think it was more to do with that, going way, way back with all these emotions that were there from that time. Because what was very interesting to me was the fact that I tried to run away from, I was brought up in rugby, and I tried to run away from rugby and my family home. So as soon as I was 18, I left, moved to London, etc., trying to escape from all of that. But you can't escape from yourself.
Oh, that is so spot on.
You really can't escape from yourself, because what ended up happening was God put me right back to where I was in the beginning. So the fact that I had to move back to rugby to live back with my mum, where part of the problem was now I can say it's a blessing. At the time, yeah. I wasn't quite so sure.
Yeah, not normally do you want to go back to mum. I get that.